Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
That's right, greater words have never been spoken. Thank you, Michael Buffer. We are now entering the Pacific Theater in World War II, where the Japanese imperialistic effort is coming to bomb Pearl Harbor, the naval base of the United States during World War II. It is going to get ugly. It is going to get very scary for many people in the United States. This is the first time ever since 1812 the United States have been attacked on their homeland by a foreign country. This is going to get exciting. And we're going to give you an interview today of the United States Pacific Fleet commander who was blamed for this attack against the United States. It's going to get exciting. It's going to get good. And we're going to hear his side of the story and especially what went down, what happened at Pearl Harbor. Stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. Well, we're just now talking to Husband Kimmel, who was the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Fleet in the U.S. Pacific Theater. And, well, he kind of gets blamed for the attack on Pearl Harbor, how he wasn't prepared, the failures that happened there, and ultimately the devastation that it left, and what we remember as Pearl Harbor. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Husband Kimmel. Hey, husband! Yeah! Hubby! And his intro. Well. So this is who we have to blame for Pearl Harbor, the biggest attack pretty much ever in American history.
Hello. Well, I wish I could have had a better intro than that. You don't give me much credit for anything else I've done, but I just want to let the people know that the blame shouldn't be on me. I think it's going to happen anyway. You know what I mean? They left me in charge, and I tried to take the precautions, and nobody wanted to listen.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place there. You're at Pearl Harbor in 1941, December 7th. It's like, this thing's going to happen either way. Whoever's there, whoever's in charge, right?
Yeah, basically, and that's what happened. I just happened to be commander-in-chief at the time. And
poor time.
Yeah, just poor timing, man.
Yeah.
I did my part, and it's easy. Just point your finger at this guy. Look at this little guy over here. Nobody cares about him.
Yeah.
Just shake it off on him.
Yeah. It's not like you were actually flying the planes and dropping the bombs on the battleships, were you?
Exactly. What am I supposed to do? I'm just sitting there in the ship, and there's people bombing.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah. Well, maybe if there's actually some intelligence sent to you, maybe if there's some information sent to you for you to be more prepared for this event, who knows? Maybe you would have had defenses for it, right?
Exactly. And that's why I had said earlier that, an attack could be possible. And I was warning the people as much as I could. But at the end of the day, I mean, if they wanted to attack, I think they were going to attack.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
I did what I could. And, people, they weren't very fond of me. And they kind of left me out to dry,
Yeah.
I was just a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Push my face down in the mud. That's what they did. That's what those people did.
Oh, hey, hold the tears back. But hey, I'm not pointing a finger at you here. But I'll tell you what, American Vision, our textbook is, and I can't help that. Sorry.
Well, did you ever think for a second the wrong people are writing these textbooks? Where do they even get this information from? Was anyone around at that time? They just love to blame the little guy. That's all it is. Find somebody to blame it on, and that's what they do.
It seems.
I would like one of these textbooks. You know what? I'd love to read the stuff that's in these.
You know what? Right after we're done here, I'll email it to you. Just because you're obviously upset about it. I'm upset about it. How could they just trash you in a textbook when they weren't even at the event? You were there, you were in charge, and you watched the whole thing. I think you're actually wounded by one of the bullets spraying through one of the naval ships, weren't you?
Yeah, actually, it was a 50 cal bullet. Yes, sir. It did come through the window.
Skin right off your shoulder, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I don't mean to backtrack on you here, but you said you were going to send it to me in an email. What is an email?
Oi, yeah, that is a tough one. That is a tough one. Well, we'll figure it out after the podcast, all right?
Oh, okay, okay.
All right.
All right, that sounds good.
But yeah, it ruined your nice uniform, your white uniform, and here they are bashing you about it. It's like, how could they do that? How could they do that?
Exactly. Of all days, God's day on a Sunday.
Oh,
I just rolled out of bed after a long night out with the boys,
well, yes.
and there's just explosions, and I'm like, at first I thought I had one too many.
Yeah,
I really did.
yeah.
I really did, and I wiped my eyes and
Couldn't believe it.
screams and just it took a minute for it to sink in, and then when that bullet grazed me, that really woke me up. I tell you what.
I'll say. I mean, Saturdays, let's face it, are for the boys. Sunday, you
Yes.
wake up, gonna try to go give God some grace here, right? And then here comes a bullet flying through your windows, grazing your nice officer jacket. You're getting ready to go to church, and here they are, pointing a finger at you. Unbelievable.
Yep, exactly. Yep, I knew it. The minute that attack happened, that I was done for. That the people were going to turn on me.
Yep.
I knew it as I stood there, and I even ripped the 4-star off my sleeve of my jacket.
Yeah. I think there's actually a quote out there that said that they should have that bullet should have just ripped right through you, and I think you mentioned
Even easier for me.
Yeah, I think you mentioned in your quote you wouldn't have to live with this burden for the rest of your life.
Yep. And I did. I still carry it with me.
Some sad stories there, guys. I just want to let you know there. Oh man, I really feel bad for Husband here for this one. It was really hard for him to get him on the show today, but I tell you what, you got to give him your all for him actually showing up and telling his information about this event, right?
Yeah. Still to this very day, it is very difficult to talk about.
Yeah, even with Tua getting picked for the Miami Dolphins, I mean that kind of brightened your spirits a little bit, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. Yep. Diehard Dolphins fan since about 1913 was when I first was a football fan. And,
Really getting into it.
But yeah, getting into it, and then the Dolphins came along, and and just finally, hopefully, this pick for Tua Tagovailoa, maybe they'll start to right the ship.
Yeah, that 72 season was really nice. So you experienced that, you saw that, and then now the Tua getting picked.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like they're on the right track again.
Yeah. See, it's good to talk about things that aren't so negative because every day I think of all the families that were affected by this attack.
Oh, for
it's
sure.
nice to have sports to
keep you going. Yeah.
Keep me going, ease the pain.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it here. This podcast is kind of designed to tell and talk about some of the events that happened at Pearl Harbor. So, unfortunately, we're just going to get into it now about some of the statistics. But hey, hold in there. Tell us your event, and we'll get through this together. I think you just need to get it off your chest, right?
I think this will do me a lot of good and maybe help me get a little bit of sleep at night.
Thanks, Husband. Thanks. All right, Husband. Next question I just wanted to ask. With Japan becoming an imperialistic power like they were in the beginning of the 1940s, late 1930s, they were taking over a lot of land in parts of Asia, Southeast Asia, a lot of these islands, and they're coming incredibly close to the Philippines and incredibly close to Indochina, even China they were taking over, which Great Britain, France, your allies, as the United States' allies, this had to be something that you had to expect was going to come next, that this attack was imminent, that this was going to happen sooner than later. I just want to ask you about that. Did you actually think that this attack was going to happen instantly in 1941?
I would say no. But first of all, you never want to think something like this is going to happen.
Yeah, you never want to underestimate your enemy, right?
Right. You don't want to underestimate your enemy. At the same time, you think are they really going to come across the Pacific Ocean and attack us? Is that really plausible for them to do?
Yeah, especially since how
So
big the Pacific Ocean really is, right? I mean,
exactly. And with it being, such a large body of water, I'm just wondering if, is like I said, is this really a possibility? And at first, to be honest, I really did. I really didn't think, that they would try or even be able to pull this attack off. So, but as things started to progress, and as you had stated, as they were taking over parts of China and they were approaching the Philippines, it started to become, more of a realistic thing that we need to prep for this. This is something that could possibly happen, and at the end of the day, we weren't prepped enough.
yeah,
I guess, and it's
yeah.
ever it's difficult to even talk about.
Oh, I couldn't imagine being in your shoes at that time, especially with all the like obviously you saw this power emerging in the Pacific and in the Asian Asian theater, but you were there's many accounts stating that many of the people that were living at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, they constantly heard airplanes driving by their flying by their houses, and they just thought it was like a strategic plan, or that they're just exercises performed by the United States Army, that yeah, you guys were ready for battle, you're getting ready for it, but you didn't expect it to happen just that day, on December 7th, 1941. And when the attack actually happened, many of the people thought, whatever, it's just one of the training exercises, it's not a big deal. It's just alarming and weird that it's happening on a Sunday, because they kind of respected people's their time off, and Sunday obviously being time for church. But yeah, so with that, obviously you had to think that this was going to happen sooner or later. But the Japanese traveling across the whole Pacific Ocean, really not realistic, right?
Right, and that's what I mean. Like, I would go, as much as they were expanding and taking over places and stuff like that, it's still part of me thought, can this be done? Can this be done? And to discredit to me, I really don't. It's still disbelief to this very day.
Yeah.
And just of all days for it to happen, it's just terrible time. Like, it's any time something like that happens, it's going to be terrible timing. It's never good.
Yeah.
But I mean, and just for the people and thinking it was exercises and stuff like that, it's really heartbreaking, and I just wish there was more that we could have done to prevent such a horrific attack in this beautiful country.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously Japan joining the Axis powers, so joining Germany, joining Italy, this had to be something that maybe potentially they're going to be a threat. We were almost surrounded in a way, and that's kind of what Germany thought, that this was a good idea. If we can preoccupy the United States in joining the war in Europe, this is going to be a good idea. Let's just try to side with Japan. Okay, they're on the western side of the United States while we're on the eastern side. So somehow, some way, we are surrounding the U.S. and like obviously that alliance had to dishearten a lot of the American people and especially officials, right?
Yeah. Originally, when we found out that they were joining Germany, we were kind of in disbelief.
Yeah.
It did hurt from all around, and
just like geographically, right? The location.
Exactly. It's just like we're thinking too. It's like now they're on both sides of us. Can essentially come from anywhere. And,
yeah.
It was definitely, that was the beginning of a wake-up call.
Yeah. It was just an odd alliance, right? Because you think
exactly.
You think Germany being this Aryan race culture, blonde hair, blue eyes, and how they're teaming up with an Asian country, it just doesn't make sense, right?
Right. It does not. Those two do not go hand in hand. So I don't know if Germany was desperate, but whatever it was, it did work in their favor, and they were able to get the upper hand on us.
Yeah.
At that moment in time.
Yeah, I'm guessing their plan was, well, if we can just kind of surround the United States, this will prevent them from joining the war in Europe. And technically, they were right, but they failed to realize that the United States was this industrial power where we can fight on both sides of the Pacific and in Europe.
Exactly. And they couldn't keep us down for long.
Nope.
They thought they could, but they were damn wrong.
They woke the sleeping giant, right?
Yes, they did. 110%.
All right, well, since you're bringing up numbers, I guess we should get into some of the statistics.
And like the great late Heath Ledger said in Batman, Dark Knight, and here we go.
Yes, I'm sorry. We're going to have to talk a little bit about what happened. But, so, just reading about it, we had 8 battleships there at Pearl Harbor. 8 of them were heavily damaged. 4 of them were sunk. 4 of them were damaged to the point where they weren't operational for a long time. There's over 3,000 casualties. I know it might be hard for you, husband, but what do you have to say?
Well, let me just say, I mean, it's even hard to describe the scene, to put into words. As you look around for hundreds and thousands of men that you are responsible for, and, you just see them all, the worst happening, like not in your worst dreams, nightmares, would you, ever envision anything like this happening.
Yeah, it came to a point where you looked out probably the window where you were wounded from, that it just blackened out the sun, that the smoke, the destruction of the battleships it was just devastating.
It was to the point where I couldn't see 2 feet in front of me.
Yeah.
There was that much smoke and just debris and flames.
And at that point, you almost can point the finger at your intelligence. It's like, hey, how wasn't I warned of this? Like, how wasn't I of all the destruction?
Exactly. But, I mean, as the good American I am, I try not to point any fingers. I mean, we all could have done better that day. And it would be remiss of me to sit here and say that, it's all American intelligence fault, that I myself or anyone else wasn't to blame as well for this horrible catastrophe.
Yeah, I mean, you said it best, a catastrophe. It's just it really has to hit home when every time you hear Pearl Harbor, every time you hear the words, just the Japanese Zeros that were flying over the battleships at the time and destroying many of the battleships, and the destruction that you saw, the casualties. Just put it in place for us. What do you think? How this event kind of transitioned the United States into what we are known today?
As terrible as it was, I would say it did serve as some form of motivation moving forward. To this very day, the Arizona is still in place and serves as a constant reminder of what was and what we were to become. That very day, we were about 17th in military rankings, to shortly after that becoming the strongest military in the world, even to this present day. That, as much as it was a terrible catastrophe, it helped spring forward the USA into what we have become.
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of biggest husband fan right now. Just stating what you just said. Well, at the time, we're the 17th largest military. After Pearl Harbor, we became the first, and still reigning the first largest military and strongest military in the world. So you know what? You get a bad rap for making us better. What the heck?
I really appreciate that, Mr. Bowman. That means a lot to me.
Yeah.
As somebody who, like you said, I've gotten a bad rap over the last, 60 plus years. And it's nice for someone to appreciate, what came to be.
Yeah, so, I mean, other than losing the 2 stars, I mean, hey, there's only so much in your hands, so much things that you could do as the leader of the Pacific Fleet at the time. You're kind of just woken up one day. You weren't warned about it. Yeah, you kind of saw the threat Japan was becoming, but you had no idea how close they actually were. And after this event, let's face it, the United States shot out like it out of the cannon to become the strongest, most dominant military like we are known today.
Like I said earlier, you hate for what happened to happen, But if there is any silver lining in all of it, I think it motivated us moving forward to never let something like that happen again
Yeah,
in this great soil of the U.S.
yeah. So sometimes, let's face it, you need a wake up call, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what that was. The worst type of wake up call, but it made us better moving forward.
Hey, you know what? If you ever call me late at night and you wake me up, I like that wake up call. Thanks, husband.
Thank you for your time and for having me on this show today. It was really an honor and a pleasure. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no
Let
problem.
me get my story out.
Yep,
As well.
exactly. You need to get that off your chest sometimes. But hey, husband, last thing. Do you have any kind of do you have any kind of motivation for the kids at home, the UDA students, during these tough times?
Just try to stay positive. I know it's tough times right now, but stay positive, stay safe. Just try to have a positive attitude moving forward, and do everything you can in your power to just become the best person you can be.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And hey, kids, if anybody knows about hard times, let's face it, husband's probably the biggest guy in United States history knowing what hard times really are. Sorry about the joke, but
Yeah. No, I completely get it. It's warranted. So, learn from me, kids. Be better than I was.
go to school, right? School
Right,
is not
go to
for
school.
fools.
Right, exactly. Don't do drugs, kids. Remember, don't smoke crack.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, husband. Thanks a lot. Hey, you take care.
All right, you too, Mr. Bowman.
Thank you.
Husband out.
Well, there you guys have it. That was a great interview with Husband Kimmel, probably mentioned as one of the most failed officers in military American history. Unfortunately, Pearl Harbor happened, but this was the cause, the push for the United States to get involved with World War II. And at the same time, they'll be fighting the Pacific Theater against the Japanese and also fighting the European theater against Germany and Italy. So again, guys, this was the final push to get the United States involved in World War II. And we'll talk a little bit later about how island hopping techniques are used to push back the Japanese to their mainland. Okay. Again, what husband mentioned, this was the final straw. This was the final push to make the United States in becoming the strongest industrial military power in the world, even up till today. So since 1941 till modern time till today, we were the strongest military industrial power in the world. All right, guys, take care. See you next time.